Drew Anderson joined us now, part of our Lisbon Wrestling State Preview show here in Lisbon. Drew, let's just recap what happened in that, region dual tournament. Came right down to the very wire. Just take us through kind of where you were, your mindset when everything kind of happened there, those last couple of seconds, knowing that you were going to win another, region title here when it came to the duels.
Well, we know we had a great guy right there to lock it up for us. He just had to stay calm, and we just gave it to him, and he just took it on, and he got it done for us.
What was the environment like if someone was not there in Lisbon with Kindred fans waiting to see if they were maybe going to wrestle? Obviously, you and South Border fans going at it. What was the environment like from a wrestler's point of view?
It was crazy. People were screaming everywhere, and they were just yelling and all that.
For you particularly here, Drew, what is a favorite wrestling moment outside of probably, that particular weekend? But what's a wrestling moment that comes to mind that you've enjoyed the most so far?
Oh, just watching my teammates improve and keep on improving in the year, and we're going to get somewhere.
Is there a particular meet that you enjoy? Obviously, I know Store Hog's a big one for you guys hosting that one, but is there any particular meet that you look forward to wrestling in and competing in?
The Castleton tournament was really fun.
What made Castleton? What made Castleton so fun for you this year?
A lot of good competition to wrestle, and you get improvement out there, and yeah.
From a wrestling standpoint, is there a particular move when it presents itself? Is there like a favorite one that you kind of like to throw out against your opposition if it kind of comes to fruition, so to speak?
An arm bar. If somebody gives me their arm, then I can have it there. And
Final thing for you, Drew, before we let you go. What are you looking forward to most once you get to that final day of state that Saturday? For those dual wrestling tournaments. What are you most looking forward to? Once you get to the Fargo Dome.
Just wrestling my last couple matches and calling it a career.
Drew, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Drew. Aiden Henkel joined us now, part of the Lisbon Wrestling program here. Aiden, what's one thing you've enjoyed most so far this season with this particular crew here for Lisbon Wrestling?
Really just getting to hang out with everyone, and we're good, so it's fun winning.
Without question, able to win another dual title against your rivals too in the East region and that Southeast region. What was it like in the Lisbon gym for you here, knowing that you were heading back to another state tournament on the dual side?
It was really fun, and you can't really describe the atmosphere. It was really loud and just exciting.
Have you ever been in a duel like that before where it literally came down to the final, few moments here, Aiden?
I have not myself. It was pretty intense.
And just take us through where were you kind of in the gym at that particular point when everything went down to zero and you knew you're heading to state? Where were you?
I was right behind the coaches, and I was just celebrating, and I was excited, to say the least.
What's one thing from wrestling that you've kind of taken with you outside of the wrestling room and part of your day-to-day lifestyle?
Just I don't know, just kind of like the bonds you build with the people around you, and it's more of like a team sport. You gotta do it for your teammates and your brothers.
Speaking of the team, do you enjoy on the individual side wrestling more? Do you enjoy the dual side? Which one do you enjoy a little bit more if you could, just pick one?
Both. I mean, it's hard to choose, I guess, but it's fun, I guess. Not sure what to say.
Yeah, I guess the follow-up to that would be what makes the dual one more enjoyable or different compared to the individual one? How do you kind of separate the two? What makes the duels a little bit different for you here, Aiden?
Well, the duels, since I've joined wrestling, I've only ever lost one duel, so it's pretty fun winning.
Yeah, without question. From that point here, Aiden, what's a particular tournament or a match that you enjoy the most, from Storehog to Letterman's to East West? So what's one or two that you just kind of enjoy the most?
I enjoyed Storehog. I lost in the first round, and I came back and got third, which is pretty nice. And then, yeah, probably that.
What are you looking forward to most once you kind of get to that Fargo Dome and that last day when the state duels are going to get underway?
I'm looking to win it, of course, but pretty much best case scenario.
Final thing for you, Aiden, a favorite subject that you study in class. What's one or two subjects that you enjoy the most?
Probably history out of all of them.
Yeah. Why history?
The teachers are pretty cool and funny, and I don't know. I feel like I'm better at it than most classes.
Aiden, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Yep, thank you.
Coming down with Blaze Ranky, part of our state wrestling preview show here for the Lisbon Broncos, as again, they're making their way on the team dual side to the Fargo Dome. Blaze, what do you enjoy most about wrestling? What's one or two memories that kind of come to mind for you for, wrestling here with the Lisbon Broncos?
I'd have to say just the dual aspect of it. Like, for example, last weekend, we're a really tight family, and some of them wins are just really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, take us through that atmosphere. What was it like for you particularly? And just take us through your advantage point when it came down to that, final seconds there to win the region championship yet again for your team.
Yeah, when it comes down to that, I get real nervous, and I kind of have to pace back and forth. But as soon as it happens, gym explodes. It's something that not everyone gets to experience.
Is that the best ever environment that you've been a part of for high school wrestling to this point, Blaze? Or is there one that kind of tops what that particular, environment was like there in Lisbon?
That one, and then also a couple years back when we beat South Border on Criteria, that was also another really, really cool one.
Take us through what do you enjoy most kind of once you get to state tournament week? Just take us through what do you enjoy most, kind of wrestling at the Fargo Dome.
It's a cool environment, big building. Coaches tell us to go get some air all the time too, because you're in there for a long time and stuff. But overall, it's really cool, and I've got a lot of experience wrestling in there, so it doesn't really bother me.
Take us through what is a trait or characteristic that best describes this year's version of Lisbon Bronco wrestling? What kind of comes to mind here, Blaze?
I'd just say we're just kind of underestimated, I think. I mean, we've been in a powerhouse for a while now, and this year people are kind of thinking we're going to be down and all that, but we're still here. The Lisbon Broncos, they are.
Yeah, the old bullseye on your back doesn't get any smaller. Do you guys ever talk about that as a program, or is it let's just get to our next day of practice or our next duel or next meet? How do you kind of go through the day-to-day in November to where you are now here in February, Blaze?
Well, our coaches, after every tournament, every weekend, they always just say we're going to get, no matter how it goes, we're going to get back to practice next Monday and keep getting better.
Favorite move, if it presents itself against your opposition, what's a move that you like throwing out there here in wrestling?
I really like the armbar half on top. It's my go-to.
And then from that point, favorite class or favorite subject that you've studied so far in Lisbon?
I'd probably have to say, well, I like doing math, but favorite classes to be in are probably like history classes. We got some cool teachers.
Okay. With that history class, is there like world history, American history? What's your best one?
I've been through a lot, like Andy studies, world history.
Okay. Final thing for you here, Blaze. What have you taken with you in wrestling to your normal day-to-day lifestyle? What's one or two things you hope to take with you, kind of after wrestling season is done, or even just kind of when you go home after a wrestling match or wrestling duel?
They say once you wrestle in life, everything comes easy. And I stand by that. It's a really tough sport and just makes you a lot better person overall, I think.
Blaze, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Brock Lyons joining us now, part of our state wrestling preview here for the Lisbon Bronco team as they're heading back to state on the dual side here. Brock, for you particularly, what have you enjoyed most this season with the Lisbon wrestling program here in 2023-2024?
I guess just watching the guys wrestle, watch them work hard in practice and see where that gets them.
From this particular juncture, take us through that region championship against South Border. What was kind of going through your mind when that final whistle, if you will, went and you knew as a team that you're heading back to the dual state tournament?
Thought that was pretty cool. Saw it go down to the end there. And then that was pretty cool, I guess.
Was that one of the better environments that you've been a part of, whether it's been wrestling or just sports in general?
Yeah, I'd say so. Watching everyone amped up for that. And yeah.
What have you kind of learned from wrestling that you've taken with you, part of your day-to-day lifestyle here, Brock?
I guess working hard and having a routine gets you places. Yeah, I guess.
Is there a particular trait or characteristic that best describes this year's Lisbon Bronco wrestling team? What kind of comes to mind, or a word or two that comes to mind on that one, Brock?
A word?
Yeah, or a sentence or two.
Get it done, I guess, because after everything, the coaches will say win or lose, we're getting back in the practice room, we're going to get it done, we're going to get back to work. So, yeah, getting back to work, I guess.
And you're always getting back to work no matter what. The fans maybe don't always see it, or the media doesn't always see it for sure. Brock, is there a particular tournament that you enjoy, wrestling in more so than others?
I like the store because I was at home and it was a pretty big tournament, so probably that one.
If someone hasn't ever came out for wrestling, or someone was on the fringe of joining, what would be a recruiting pitch, so to speak, Brock? Why should someone join, wrestling in high school?
Because it's a really cool environment. You get to see people that have been wrestling there for a long time, or they just came out, and you can see how their skill is used, I guess.
Are you more of a fan of the individual, or are you more a fan of the duel, if you had to pick?
Probably the duel, because I get to watch everybody else wrestle and see how it turns out in the end.
Final thing for you, Brock, superstitious or ritual? Do you have to do anything before you kind of get to, that wrestling mat, so to speak?
No, I guess.
Brock, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck moving forward here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Cash and Waiton joining us now, part of the Lisbon Broncos wrestling team that's heading back to that state dual tournament here. And Cashin, just take us through that final, couple of rounds going through that championship duel with the South Border Mustangs. What was it just kind of going through your mind once you heard that final whistle and you knew as a state dual team that you're heading back to state?
I mean, I don't know. It's just a good feeling, I guess. There's a lot of people saying how that we were going to be short this year, and just it's pretty cool that we could pull through, and we stayed calm through the whole thing, even through them heavier weights, and we knew where our strengths were and where we could take it to them.
And from this point, what do you most look forward to as a wrestler once you kind of get to that state tournament weekend, and particularly once you kind of now get to the duels on that final Saturday, that final day of state?
I just look forward to showing what we can do, and I don't know, wrestling, I guess.
What's one thing from wrestling that you've taken with you, part of your day-to-day lifestyle?
Just the drive. I mean, wrestling's all about the drive. You find your limits, and then you go past them and set new limits. And I think that's a key factor in life. I mean, you can always do better than what you think you can.
If someone comes out to you, Cashton, and says, why are you a wrestler, or what do you enjoy most about wrestling? Why should someone, go out for it if they've never tried it before? What would be a reason or two that someone should try wrestling?
Just the family that we create. It's not like anything else. I mean, yeah, other sports, you're going to have families too, but it's something different in wrestling. It's just the family that we got. It's unbeatable.
For all the tournaments that you're able to compete in and wrestle in throughout a particular season, is there one tournament that you enjoy most outside of the others, particularly?
Probably the Store Hog. I mean, it's just our hometown, and I don't know, a lot of Lisbon in the crowds there. It's just, there's nothing that can really beat that, I guess, for tournament wise.
As you get to the month of February, what do you look forward to most as a wrestler, knowing that the end is coming, but also some pretty stiff competition? What do you look forward to most about February wrestling?
Just finishing strong, I guess, staying healthy, maintaining weight, and I don't know, showing the whole state what we can do and what I can do personally.
Last thing for you here, Cashton, favorite wrestling move, if it presents itself out on the mat against an opposition, what's a move or two that you kind of like to go to if it presents itself?
Double unders. I mean, I don't know. It's all kind of comes and goes, I guess.
Awesome. Cash, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck.
I don't know.
Forward.
I can't. Thank you.
Joining us now from the Lisbon Broncos is Waiton, part of our state wrestling preview here. Waiton, what have you enjoyed most this season about the 2023-24 version of the Lisbon Broncos?
Just like wrestling and watching other people wrestling and get better.
Why should someone join wrestling if they've never done it before here, Waiton?
Well, it's a fun sport. It gets you active, and it's just something to do.
And what have you learned in wrestling that you kind of taken with you to the classroom or just your day-to-day lifestyle?
Don't quit and just to try.
Favorite class that you've studied so far? What's one or two classes that you kind of enjoy the most?
History and math.
Okay. What makes history so much fun for you?
My teacher,
Okay. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Osina.
It becomes full circle a little bit on that one. Lewin, for you, what's a particular move that you enjoy the most if it presents itself, whether it's in the wrestling move or against competition? What's a wrestling move that you like to throw out there if you can?
Like on top or like
Anything that comes to mind.
little headlock
Okay.
and like low single.
Take us through a little bit of that region dual championship. Just kind of where were you at and what was kind of going through your mind when you knew as a team you're heading back to state on the dual side defeating South Border?
Well, I was not very happy after I lost, and I was just excited for Noah.
Yeah, without question. Was that one of the more pressurized or more fun atmospheres that you've been able to wrestle with so many fan bases and so many eyes kind of watching on you? Just take us through what that environment was like for you a little bit, Lehman.
It made me nervous and it was exciting. A lot of people.
Last thing for you, Lewin, what are you most looking forward to once you kind of get to that Saturday of that state dual tournament at the Fargo Dome?
Just focus. I don't know.
Sounds great. Lewin, thanks so much for
Yeah. I'm watching my teammates.
Yeah. Lewin, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Riley Lacina joined us now from the Lisbon Broncos here as they're heading back to the state tournament on the team dual side in boys wrestling. Riley, before we talk about state or anything else, let's just recap what happened in that Southeast region dual championship. What was it kind of like going through your perspective, seeing your teammates, come back and defeat South Border there when it went right down to the final seconds in that last match?
It felt pretty good, being South Border. It started off with Griffin getting pinned. Be a little nervous. Then Ryan pulled out that close one, and Eli and Blaze and Mikey won, and then we lost up top, which we kind of expected that, but it was a little nervous. We were down. Lewin got pinned. We won and won and won, and that last match was it was awesome. Right at the end, got the takedown.
Is that Riley? I was going to ask, is that like the most insane duel that you've ever been a part of before? Like coming down to the end, knowing what was kind of on the line to go to state or possibly, being in a wrestleback, so to speak, against Kindred?
Yeah, that was, if we lost, we had to go against Kindred. Would have been a good duel. But.
And from there, Riley, what are you most looking forward to? Obviously, wrestling's in your blood, but what are you most looking forward to kind of when you get to that state dual tournament, on that Saturday of state week?
I think everyone's hoping for the same thing, to win it all. Everyone's hoping to win it, but I think we have a good chance at winning it all.
From there, Riley, what have you learned from wrestling that you've kind of taken with you to your normal, 8 to 5 or your normal, so to speak, a day-to-day lifestyle?
Watching what you're eating, having to watch your weight a little bit. But
Riley, what's one favorite moment outside of obviously that region dual championship? What's another favorite moment or two that comes to mind for you when you think about wrestling?
Just hanging out with your friends and having fun with the team and just being part of a team.
Is there a particular trait or characteristic that can best describe this version of the 2023-24 Broncos? What's one or two things that come to mind when you think about this year's team?
Awesome, fun, amazing team.
What is your favorite particular subject in school?
It's probably got to be history because my dad teaches it.
Any particular type of history? Are we talking American? Are we talking just world history, geography?
World history, geography.
Okay. And then last thing for you here, Riley, before we let you go, superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything before you kind of wrestle against someone? Any rituals, or is it let's just get to that first whistle and let's see what it provides?
Yeah, just get to the whistle.
Awesome. Riley, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Perfect. Noah Anderson joining us now from the Lisbon Broncos wrestling team here. Noah, just kind of take us through that region dual championship against South Border when you saw everything was down to zero, so to speak. The ref, had the whistle going up and you're heading back to state as a team dual tournament. What was kind of going through your mind at that particular juncture?
Well, I was more so worried about how we had to get the job done later in the matches. Like when we were down, I knew it was like we had to start focusing on our own matches. We couldn't get our heads too high, and we were able to pull it off.
How sweet was it to come back in that style, in your home gym and kind of protect your home court, if you will?
Oh yeah, it was pretty cool. The way the crowd was going, it was pretty nice this year.
And for you, Noah, what do you most look forward to once it's February wrestling, once you kind of get to tournament time here as a wrestler? What do you most look forward to?
I look forward to finishing out the season, hopefully doing as best as I can do and getting another win for my team.
From that particular point, what have you learned in wrestling? What have you learned from your coaches that you've kind of taken with you, outside of the wrestling room or the wrestling mat?
I suppose I'd have to say staying determined on what you're doing and getting it done.
Are you superstitious or have a ritual at all, Noah, before you kind of get to the wrestling mat?
Sometimes I pray, but usually I just go out there and do what I do.
And then from a school standpoint, is there one particular subject that you enjoy studying or learning about more than the other one?
I would have to say history.
Yeah. What's the reason behind history here?
I don't know. It's better than algebra. That's all that matters to me.
For you, Noah, what is a particular tournament that you enjoy wrestling in or competing in the most?
I would have to say either East, West, or the Storehog tournament.
Yep. What's the reasoning behind those two in particular?
East, West, you just get to feel everybody that you're going to see most likely at state, and the Storehog, it's just home tournaments. Kind of nice to be there.
Final thing for you, Noah, best describe a trait or characteristic that best describes this year's version of the Lisbon Broncos. What's a couple of words or a sentence or two that comes to mind?
Hardworking, determined, and skillful.
I like it. Noah, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Yeah, thanks. Have a nice day.
Cruz Ranky now joining us with the Lisbon Wrestling Program. Cruz, take us through one of your favorite memories so far here this season with the Lisbon Bronco wrestling team. What's a memory or two that comes to mind?
Probably being South Border at region duels. That was pretty hype.
Take us through when everything came down. It was okay. Everything's done. You knew you're heading off to state. You knew you're winning the region championship. Just take us through kind of where you were in that moment and what's kind of racing through your mind.
Yeah, we had to get some pretty big matches there. Some extra bonus points to win that one, but came through, I guess.
And for you, Cruz, what do you look forward to the most once you kind of get to this point of the season here in February compared to what November, December, January wrestling is?
Just looking forward to hopefully qualifying for state, maybe getting a place.
And for you in particular, is there a one tournament that you enjoy competing at more so than others?
Probably our own tournament, the Storehog. Like that one because it's near home.
And on top of that, there's always some really good competition. What if someone's never been to the Storehog before? What are they kind of missing as a wrestling fan here, Cruz? What do you enjoy most? Just obviously as a wrestler, but if someone's going there to watch, why should they come out to the Storehog? Next year.
I just think it's really well run and pretty exciting, like environment.
Take us through what's the best trait or characteristic that describes this year's 2023-24 version of the Lisbon Broncos.
Say we're pretty I don't know, like explosive. I don't know what you say.
Yeah. You got enough guys who can kind of get out there and get some pins and get some pretty big bonus points. Is that a pretty good way to explain it somewhat, Cruz?
Yeah.
Final thing for you, Cruz, a favorite subject in class. What's one or two that kind of come to mind for you?
I like history, probably the best.
Okay. Any particular reason you like history?
Teachers, a coach, I guess.
Sounds good. History's been brought up a ton, so it must be going pretty well. Cruz, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Yeah.
Ryan Ing joining us now here, part of our Lisbon Wrestling preview show for the team duels as they're heading back to state on that particular Saturday. Ryan, what have you enjoyed most so far this season? What's a memory or two that comes to mind so far this year for you on the mat with this wrestling program?
I'd say probably the teamwork and how everybody helps you when you lose a close match or you're supposed to win, you get pinned or something. I'd say they really help with that.
And the best trait or characteristic, what's a couple of words that come to mind that can best describe, the team this year, Ryan, of the 2023-24 Broncos?
I think we're very dangerous.
I like it, especially after the dangerous there in that region dual championship to come back. Just take us through where you were on that particular point. I've been asking a lot of your fellow teammates kind of where they were, in the gym. Just take us through once that final whistle came off and you knew you're heading back to state. Just take us kind of through your emotions and where you were on that, Ryan.
Oh, it was crazy. I just looked around. I didn't think it was real at all. Going back, at least last year, it was crazy when I knew that I was going. Now this year, having it that close, it's even more special than it has been.
What have you learned from wrestling that you kind of take with you from your coaches and this wrestling program to you kind of for that normal day-to-day lifestyle outside of wrestling?
Never give up. Whenever there's something in your way, just keep going. You're going to make it through.
Is there something in the water down in that Lisbon area when it comes to wrestling? There's obviously been a lot of generations of really good wrestlers, and you guys have the bullseye on your back. What is it about this wrestling program when you're a little kid, Ryan, kind of getting to middle school and to high school that makes you want to be a Lisbon Bronco wrestler?
Just all the hard work.
For you, Ryan, is there a particular move that you like if it presents itself on the mat more so than others?
I'd probably say single leg. It's been there.
Are you a superstitious at all? Do you have a ritual before you get to the mat, or is it let's just hear the whistle, shake hands, and let's get down to business?
Yeah, I don't really have anything quite yet, but.
And then is there a particular subject that you enjoy learning in school more than others?
Probably math. It's just easy.
Okay.
Get through it quick.
Sounds great. And final thing for you, Ryan, what are you looking forward to most kind of on that particular Saturday, that final day of state? Is there something afterwards? I know some guys will always say food, just kind of hanging out for a little bit, but is there something in particular you're looking forward to that final day?
Probably excited for the finals. Definitely going.
For
no
sure.
one stops us.
Ryan, congratulations on a great season so far and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Eli Lyons joining us now from the Lisbon Wrestling program here. Eli, what have you enjoyed most so far this season with your teammates and coaches for this 2023-24 version here of Lisbon Broncos Wrestling?
I've enjoyed how much we fought through everything when you've had sick kids and injured kids, and we've all been able to pull a full team together.
And you mentioned about fighting. Take us through that region dual tournament, in Lisbon, able to come all the way back against South Border. Just take us through where you kind of were sitting when it all came down to the very end there, and just take us through that, wrestler's mindset when you heard the whistle go and you knew you're heading back to state as a dual team.
Oh, yeah, I was pretty nervous and exciting going into that one.
Eli,
yeah, just able to get it all together as a team.
Eli, was that some of the best environment that you've ever, been a part of for wrestling, or is there another one that kind of comes to mind?
No, I think that's definitely the most exciting environment I've ever been in.
As you kind of take a look ahead here, Eli, particularly to state on that Saturday for the team duels, what are you most looking forward to, having a chance to wrestle one more time as a unison, as a team moving forward?
I'm most excited to be in the 2 seed and having to wrestle South Border in the semifinal potentially. Instead of having it be in the finals, you got to beat everybody. So might as well beat them in the semifinals.
And from that particular juncture, what have you gained most from wrestling that you hope to take with, outside of wrestling as part of your day-to-day lifestyle here?
I've gained a brotherhood with all my teammates. I hope to keep that with me as we get out of sports and get out of high school.
Do you enjoy the individual portion of wrestling, or do you enjoy the dual portion of wrestling a little bit more here, Eli?
I like the duels better. It's different. Every match has got to be wrestled a little bit differently than it would be in an individual match to save team points, and everybody's got to do their part.
Best trait or characteristic that describes this year's version of the Lisbon Bronco wrestling team. What's one or two words or a sentence or two, Eli, that comes to mind?
Oh, we're not done yet. We still got something to chase.
Without question. Final thing for you, Eli, what's a favorite class that you particularly have studied so far during your time?
I like world history because I get Coach McCleary in that class.
That one's been coming up quite some bit so far. So thanks so much for your time, Eli, and best of luck moving forward.
Yeah.
Jordan Dink now joined us here from the Lisbon Boys Wrestling Program. Jordan, what's a memory or two this season that comes to mind that best describes the 2023-24 Lisbon Broncos this season? What kind of comes to mind for a favorite memory or two for you?
Winning the South Border against South Border in the region duels.
Yeah, and that's obviously a recent one too, and a lot of fun. Take us through the mindset where you kind of were when that whistle comes across. It's zeros on the clock. You're heading back to state as a dual team. Just take us through where you kind of were as a wrestler at that particular point and your advantage point.
I just know everybody's there. They work really hard there. Everybody put their most into the match.
And then for you, Jordan, was that one of the crazier environments that you've ever wrestled in before, or is there something that was similar to that with all the fan bases and fans that were kind of chanting and screaming there at the end?
Yeah, that was one of the most exciting duels we've ever had.
What's something from wrestling that you've hoped to take with you or already have taken with you as part of your, day-to-day lifestyle?
It's like a family. We all work hard in the room and just translates onto the mat.
Is there a particular class subject, math, history, or something that you have enjoyed most learning at Lisbon so far?
Yeah, our history teachers are really good.
And from that particular juncture, what is a favorite wrestling tournament or competition that you look forward to most when you're able to get out there for a particular weekend?
The East-West is a really fun tournament to go to.
And what are you looking forward to most once you get to state here, Jordan?
Just going out there and putting it all on the mat one last time.
Jordan, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Mike Nelson joined us now, part of our state wrestling preview show here for the Lisbon Broncos, as again, they're heading to state on that team dual side. Mike, I've been kind of asking some of your fellow teammates before you too this particular question. Maybe one of the most, you could use the word epic duels that you had against South Border in that championship. Just take us through what the last couple of seconds for you for coming down to that final weight class, and just take us through everything from a wrestler's point of view and your advantage point once you knew that you were going to be region champs again against South Border.
Yeah. After everybody did their job, those last I think 4 matches we won. Coming down to them, those last 4 matches, we were fairly confident in each one of them that each of our guys would get their job done. And Noah pulled off a big win, but everybody did their part, and it was really great.
How fun was the environment inside, that Lisbon gym there, going right down to the wire with literally all the fan bases wondering what's going to happen next? Is there a challenge duel? Is there not? Just take us through what the environment was like.
Yeah, it was crazy. Probably the craziest duel I've ever been a part of, especially
having a home crowd too. I mean, that's crazy to see your home gym just go that wild. It's a great atmosphere.
Is there a particular thing from wrestling that you enjoy more? Do you enjoy more the dual side, or do you enjoy more the individual side here, Mike?
Both are great, but I definitely say the dual side is my favorite part. It's a team, it's a camaraderie. Everybody goes out there, does their part. There's no one man that's more important than the other. There's 78 points in a duel, and whatever your team can do to save points and get points it's just great.
And from that particular junction, Mike, once you get to that final day of the state tournament on that Saturday, once you get to that duels, what do you look forward to most once you kind of wrestle at the Fargo Dome?
Just going out there, being aggressive, looking to score points, everybody doing their part and bringing the heat.
And from that particular juncture, when you get into February, Mike, take us through a wrestler's mentality. What makes February wrestling in North Dakota different from any other part of the season here in high school athletics?
February for wrestling it's its own monster. You got to have a great mindset and a great support team. And I think here at Lisbon, every one of us supports each other, and we're out here making sure that everybody does their part and that we're mentally ready to just fight.
What have you taken from wrestling into your day-to-day lifestyle? What's one or two things that you've learned from the wrestling program that you've kind of taken with you on your normal, school classes, or just hanging out with family and friends?
I think the brotherhood and hard work. Lisbon is, I believe we're the hardest workers around, and I think that can apply to everywhere, every aspect of life. And I think we execute that, and I think our brotherhood is next to none. We really support each other, and it's a great brotherhood we have.
Final thing for you, Mike. Best trait or characteristic about this year's version of Lisbon Bronco wrestling. What kind of comes to mind? Best trait or characteristic for the Lisbon Broncos here?
We're fighters. We're fighters.
Awesome. Mike, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward. Ian Anderson from the Lisbon Broncos joining us now. Ian, what's one thing from wrestling that you've enjoyed the most so far that you kind of take with you outside of the wrestling room, so to speak? What's one thing you've learned from your coaches in this program that you take with you, part of your day-to-day lifestyle?
Not really giving up on things and finishing things when I start them.
And from that particular point, how much fun have you had this season with Lisbon wrestling, and what's a memory or two, one of your favorite ones that come to mind so far?
Beating South Border after Christmas break was a pretty big one.
Yeah, the South Border has been always a good rivalry between those two particular programs. Take us through that region championship. What was kind of going through your mind when you saw that, okay, as a team on the dual side, you're heading back to state?
I was pretty excited.
From there, what is a wrestling move that you kind of enjoy the most here, Ian, if it presents itself against your opposition?
I like cradles.
And then is there a particular tournament you enjoy wrestling in more so than others once you kind of see it on the schedule?
I like wrestling in the Dan Unger at Waiton.
Okay. Why do you enjoy that one the most?
It's pretty early in the season, so I'm usually not at a lower weight class.
Take us through just the different weight classes. How much are you kind of bouncing around, or have you found a weight class that you kind of fits yourself? How does that kind of go for a wrestler throughout the year here, Ian?
At the beginning of the year, I would start off at 114, and then after Christmas break, I cut down to 107.
Okay, so how challenging for someone who's never had to, cut down as yourself before? How challenging is that?
Can get hurt sometimes, but I kind of keep it under control.
And from that particular point here, Ian, what are you most looking forward to kind of once you get to that state tournament, particularly on that Saturday on the team dual side? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm just kind of looking forward to wrestling and getting to eat after the last day.
Yeah. What food are you most looking forward to enjoying once, 5 o'clock roughly on Saturday of that state dual meet comes around?
A sandwich.
I like it. Ian, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Yep. You too.
Grayson Lyons now joining us, part of our Lisbon State Wrestling preview here for that dual team heading back to state. Grayson, for you particularly, how much fun and what are some of the memories so far to this point of the season that you've had? Just take us one or two memories that kind of come to mind for this year's version of the Lisbon Broncos.
Memories, just kind of winning duals, regions. That's one of the main memories so far. Also placing 7th at New Salem. It's pretty fun. So
yeah. On the individual side of that East-West Classic, what's the competition like once you kind of get to this point of the season, particularly with some of those tournaments, as the East-West is always kind of known as a barometer before you get to state. So what do you enjoy most about that East-West Classic a few weeks back here?
I don't know. I feel pretty good about it. Just it makes you, kind of gets you a good feel about state. Kind of see what position you're in, almost like. And yeah, just I don't know. It gets you pumped up and ready for state.
And let's talk about that a little bit. Knowing that your dual team is heading to state as well that last day of Saturday, what do you enjoy most? About coming up to the Fargo Dome? What are you most looking forward to that state week about?
Oh, probably just, I don't know, pushing ourselves and getting to the championship and winning her. So,
is there a particular tournament throughout the year that you enjoy wrestling or competing in more so than others when it kind of comes on your schedule? Is there a particular one that you look forward to competing in here?
Well, like towards the beginning of the year, I like the one in Waiton there. That one's a good one because just gets you ready, and it's a good tournament. There's a lot of Class A teams there to get you, ready for whatever else that's coming up in the future tournaments. So, yeah.
Final thing for you, Grayson, here. Just take us back through that South Border Region Championship. Just take us through where you kind of were when you were able to, see that whistle and you knew you were heading to state, and also you're a region champ seat again.
Oh boy, that was a good time. It was exciting. I don't know. It was just really exciting, especially when that last win there. So I knew we were for sure going. Yeah, it was a good time.
Was that the best environment that you've ever been a part of for wrestling, or one of the best?
I would say it was the best. Yeah, it was definitely one of the best. Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Grayson, thanks so much for your time and best of luck moving forward.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Emerson Schwab now joining us from the Lisbon Broncos as far as the state wrestling preview show here for the girls team from Lisbon, and Emerson to qualify for the state individual tournament here. What does it mean for you heading to the Fargo Dome coming up here in just later this week?
I'm super excited, and I'm so thankful I get this opportunity to go to the Dome this season.
And what's a trait or characteristic that you like best about this Lisbon girls wrestling program continuing to develop and grow here over the last couple of years?
Just how encouraging everyone is and supporting each other through everything.
Is there a particular trait that you've taken from wrestling that's part of your day-to-day lifestyle? I guess, what have you kind of learned on the mat that you've taken, so to speak, off the mat?
I don't know. Just support everyone through everything and be there and cheer everyone on.
Is there a particular favorite memory that comes to mind, whether it's a certain competition or favorite thing from wrestling that comes to mind, one or two memories for you here, Emerson?
Last year at the state tournament, when my friend Grayson won her championship match, that was pretty emotional for us.
Take us through when you're able to get to February wrestling. What changes during this time of the year, Emerson, compared to way back in November when you're kind of getting going around Thanksgiving? What changes, in February wrestling compared to way back in November?
Your mindset, you just think okay, this is it. Nothing else matters. 0-0. You have to give it your all.
What's a wrestling tournament that you enjoy competing at the most? What's one that you've kind of circled on the schedule when you get to see it that you enjoy from your point of view?
The Rumble on the Red. That's one of my favorites.
Okay, why makes Rumble on the Red so much fun for you?
Because you get competition from everywhere. You don't see people from Minnesota at the state tournament or things like that.
And then is a Rumble on the Red, if someone hasn't been to Rumble on the Red and they've been to the state tournament or vice versa, how much different or how similar is the Rumble on the Red compared to a state wrestling tournament here, Emerson?
It's definitely a big environment. There's lots of people. It's very chaotic, but it's just a lot of fun because you just meet new people that you never do before. And I don't know.
Last thing for you, Emerson, Trader, do you have a particular superstition or anything you have to do before you get to the mat? Or is it, hey, let's warm up and let's hear that whistle go and go from there?
I always have to listen to music before I wrestle. And I always like rub my hands together like this and it gets me fired up.
Awesome. Emerson, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here at the state tournament.
Thank you.
Ella Sad joined us here from the Lisbon Broncos. Ella, how excited are you to be competing at the state tournament, and what are you looking forward to most coming up at the Fargo Dome?
I am so excited to be wrestling state. I'm most excited for all the competition I have. Since being a heavyweight, you don't have that much usually, but there's a lot more this year than there was last year.
It's good to hear. And then from that perspective, what's a Trader characteristic that you've enjoyed most about this year's version of the Lisbon Broncos girls wrestling team?
It's been more positive and like fun, and we're more like a family now because we're all getting closer to each other because it's towards the end of the season.
And how has this team just kind of continued to, grow in terms of just wrestling since November to where we are now? How have you seen the growth of this program just continue to get better here, Ella?
A lot more wins, a lot more like confidence in wrestling and like leadership from each of us going into the team.
What's the one thing you enjoy most about wrestling, Ella? Whether it's going to the practice, wrestling room, whether it's going to competition, what do you enjoy most about wrestling?
Like the competitions and like trying to head for like one of the like first place, and make it up to there.
And from that standpoint, is there a particular tournament that you've enjoyed competing at more so than others this year?
The Rumble for sure was one of my favorites.
Okay, what made the Rumble stand out?
It's from people all over like Minnesota. So like I got to test new waters for people wrestling.
As the season gets to an end here, what makes February wrestling just stand out and a little bit more different than, November, December, so to speak, wrestling from your point of view?
November, like December is more of like, okay, we're getting into it, like fun. And then like February, January is when you're like more like going hardcore, trying to place and make it for everything.
Final thing for you, superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything, Ella, before you get to the mat, or is it, hey, let's just, get to my match and let's hear the whistle and let's get going?
One of my coaches is my brother, and I always talk to him before my matches, so that's one of my like superstitions.
I like it. Ella, thanks so much for your time. We'll keep letting you talk to your brother this weekend, and best of luck at the Fargo Dome.
Thank you.
Cora Oster joining us now here from the Lisbon Broncos. Cora, what are you most looking forward to when you get to this state tournament coming up here later this week at the Fargo Dome?
Cheering on all my teammates and seeing how well they did and all their work actually paying off.
Yeah, let's talk about the season here. How have you seen the growth of this Lisbon girls wrestling program way back, in November to where we are now? How much growth have you seen within the program this season with yourself and also with your fellow teammates here, Cora?
We've all grown together as a team so much. Very proud of how we've done.
Is there a particular favorite wrestling memory that comes to mind more so than others right now that's kind of number one or 1A?
When the track wrestling goes out.
Well, so take us through, if someone's not used to track wrestling, what happens for you then, Cora, when track wrestling goes out as a wrestler? How do you help out behind the scenes at a tournament?
So when track wrestling goes out at the girls' tournaments, somebody usually starts playing music, and not only the Lisbon team, but all the other teams kind of gather in a circle and we just start dancing, and it's really fun and it's really cool to see that. Just because we're all from different teams doesn't mean that we can't participate together and get together.
What have you learned most about wrestling that you kind of take with you outside of the wrestling room, Cora?
No matter what you're going through, building up is really important. Help other people, cheer them on.
And why should someone join wrestling if they're kind of on the fence 50-50 about wanting to come out or not?
Just try it. Just try it. It's really fun.
And
Love it.
And for you here, Cora, is there a particular tournament that you enjoy competing at or wrestling at more so than others throughout the year?
Probably the Rumble.
Okay, I think everyone that we've interviewed has said the Rumble on the Red at this point. What makes the Rumble so much fun from your perspective?
There's so much chaos going on. You get to wrestle people from Minnesota, sometimes South Dakota, get to wrestle people from that you wouldn't normally get to wrestle. You learn new things.
And then for you, Cora, is there a particular move that if it presents itself once you get going against competition, against your opponent, is there a particular move that you like to use more so than others?
I don't know. Try to take what I get.
And then final thing for you, superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything before you finally get to the mat, or is it let's just, hear that whistle, shake the hand, and let's get going?
I have to give my sister a hug.
I like that. Awesome. Cora, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here at State.
Thank you.
As we continue on our YourLiveEvent.com Lisbon Wrestling Preview Show, Ava joined us now from the Lisbon Broncos girls wrestling team. Ava, how excited are you heading to the Fargo Dome coming up competing at that state tournament?
I am very excited.
As you take a look at it, what are you most looking forward to once you kind of get to that Fargo Dome on Thursday morning for that individual tournament?
I'm looking forward to just wrestling in general. Looking forward to having fun and having a lot of competition to look forward to.
And at this particular juncture, what's a trait or characteristic that best describes the 2023-2024 Lisbon Broncos girls wrestling team? What's a characteristic that kind of comes to mind that you've enjoyed?
Perseverance. We have a lot of perseverance on this team.
And from there, is there a particular wrestling meet that you enjoyed more so than others competing at this season here?
The Rumble on the Red was a really good one.
Okay. We've heard a couple of your fellow teammates say that too, Ava. What made the Rumble on the Red just so much fun from a wrestler's point of view?
There was a lot more competition from like other states that I really enjoyed, and it was just a lot of fun.
Are you more of a individual wrestling fan, or are you more of a, dual wrestling fan? If you had to pick, which one would you rather kind of compete in here, Ava?
Individual.
Individual. And then on this particular side, how have you seen Lisbon girls wrestling just continue to grow and girls wrestling in general? What have you kind of seen from the Lisbon program that has allowed maybe, some other girls to come in the program and give it a shot?
I've seen a lot of growth and positivity on the team and just a lot of nice things happening.
Why should someone go out for wrestling, whether it's girls or boys? If someone asks you why you're a wrestler, Ava, what's kind of your response when you give someone, and why should they kind of go out to become a wrestler?
It's really fun and mentally challenging, but it's just a really enjoyable sport to be in, and it's kind of like a family more than of a sport, and you just get really close with a lot of people and make a lot of friends, and it's really fun.
And from their favorite subject in school, what's a subject that you've enjoyed most in school?
Probably English, maybe.
Okay. Is there any type of English, like in terms of writing or reading, or just kind of English in general?
I like the reading parts of English more than the other parts.
Ava, thanks so much for your time and best of luck coming up here at the state tournament.
Thank you.
Joining us now from the Lisbon Broncos is Veda. Veda, congratulations on heading to state. What are you most looking forward to getting to the Fargo Dome and competing at the state tournament?
I'm looking forward to making a lot of new memories because I remember making a lot of memories last year.
And take us through some of the memories, whether it's from this competition this season or maybe last year's state. What's a favorite wrestling memory or two that comes to mind?
Probably just like having a lot of fun, just like meeting new people and like making friends from different teams.
What have you learned most about wrestling that you've kind of taken with you outside the wrestling room or outside the mat, part of your day-to-day lifestyle here?
Probably just like believing in yourself and being confident of like what you can do and what you think you can do.
Favorite wrestling tournament to compete in from last year to this year? What's a tournament that you've kind of circled on the schedule that you enjoy most competing at?
Probably the Rumble on the Red.
Okay. A lot of your fellow teammates have said Rumble on the Red as well. What makes that one so much fun?
It's just a really big tournament and there's a lot of different people that come out from different states and it's just you get to see a lot of different competition than you usually do.
Why should someone, if they're thinking about joining a wrestling program, whether it's girls or boys, why should someone come out and, compete in wrestling and give wrestling a shot?
Well, wrestling is like an individual sport, so like you know what you can and can't do, and it's something that you can really work on. And compared to other sports, they're like team sports. So like you can't really so like for team sports, like not everyone gets included, but like for wrestling, you're guaranteed like a spot on something.
And from their favorite class that you have taken, what's a favorite class or two that you enjoy the most?
Probably my culture and cuisines class I took last year.
Okay, what did you kind of learn about the egg and cuisine? What was a cuisine that you enjoyed most learning about?
I enjoy learning about like how different countries like make food and like how their diets are different from the ones here.
And final thing for you, superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything before you get to the mat, or is it, hey, let's get to the handshake and hear the whistle and let's go wrestling?
I kind of like to listen to music before my matches.
Thanks so much for your time and best of luck here upcoming at state.
Thanks.
Alexis Ranky now joining us, part of the Lisbon girls wrestling team here this season. Alexis, what are you looking forward to most heading to that state tournament at the Fargo Dome?
Probably cheering on all of my teammates. I mean, everyone's done so good this year, and I can't wait to see how well they do at this tournament.
As you get here from an individual perspective, how much does your kind of head spin in an individual tournament, knowing what you have to do, but knowing where you want to kind of, follow your teammates and cheer them on here? How crazy is it when you get to those individual tournaments?
I mean, I just kind of try not to think about wrestling my matches as much as I can because, like, the less I think about it, I feel like the better I do.
And then Alexis, as you take a look at Lisbon girls wrestling this season, what's a trait or characteristic that you've enjoyed the most this year with this group of girls on the mat?
I think the fact that all of us are willing to put in like a certain amount of work, like we're all doing the most that we can, like for each other and for ourselves.
Individual tournament or a dual tournament? If you had to pick, which one would you want to compete in?
Probably a dual tournament. It's a lot more fun because we're all there, like watching each other, cheering each other on, and it's just easier to wrestle when you have people cheering for you.
If someone asks you why are you a wrestler, what is the response, or why should someone become a wrestler or give wrestling a try?
It's mentally tough, but like in the end, it pays off because you feel so much more accomplished than in any of the other sports I've done.
As you look at through the schedule that kind of comes out here, Alexis, what's a tournament or what's a competition that you look forward to most competing in?
I don't really know, I guess. I'm kind of just excited for all of them.
What makes February wrestling from a wrestler's perspective? You in a couple of days, you don't have to worry about, making weight and all that fun type of stuff. You can have a quote unquote, a normal kid balance, diet a little bit. But what makes February wrestling so much different than November, December, or January early on this season?
Like I said, we like always put in the work, but it's a lot more like it's crunch time. These are like our final days of wrestling, and we're all doing the most that we can for our team and for ourselves.
Final thing for you, Alexis, before we let you go, superstitious at all? Do you have to do something before you get to the mat, or is it let's just hear that whistle and see what happens against the competition?
I mean, I usually just listen to songs, and me and one of my teammates, we just like give each other high fives and slaps on the back before every match, and that's about it.
Hey, Alexis, thanks so much for your time and best of luck at the Fargo Dome.
Yes, thank you.
Adeline Hansen joining us now from Lisbon. Adeline, for you to make it to that state tournament here this season at the Fargo Dome, what does it mean for you on your journey here to the Dome to make it to state?
It's a pretty big deal. Hope to see good competition at state.
And as you get ready for the Fargo Dome, what is something that you're most looking forward to wrestling at the Dome compared to, Lisbon, but compared to wrestling in Lisbon, Carrington, or just anywhere else? What are you most looking forward to wrestling at the Dome?
It's a bigger tournament, so it's going to be a lot of people there and good matches there and a lot more better competition.
And from this point, what have you learned most about from wrestling here this season that you've kind of taken with you off the mat, so to speak? What have you learned from wrestling that you've taken with you, outside of wrestling here?
Never give up, always persevere even when it's hard.
And from that standpoint, is there a particular tournament you enjoy wrestling at most? Is the Store Hog or something in between that you've enjoyed the most here wrestling here this season?
Rumble on the Red for sure.
Okay, what did you enjoy most about the Rumble on the Red?
There's different states there, and it's nice to see competition that you don't normally see from different areas.
And when you go up against the competition here, is there a particular move, if it presents itself, that you like throwing out there or utilizing to your advantage in case it presents itself against the opposition? What's a move or two?
It's whatever's given, I guess. Been trying to shoot lately more.
How have you seen girls wrestling within Lisbon just continue to grow here? How much fun has it been to see, girls wrestling continue to, you have a dual team now. Obviously, you have a handful of you that are heading off to that state tournament. How much fun has it been from your program to see the program continue to grow?
That's pretty good to see it grow, and I hope more girls continue to come out from all over the state as it continues to get bigger.
If there's a reason why someone should go up for girls wrestling, what would be the reason for it?
It helps you get stronger mentally and physically, both, and I think it's fun. So,
last thing for you, superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything before you get to the mat, or is it, hey, let's hear the whistle and let's get going?
pretty much just hear the whistle.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, and best of luck here coming up at the Fargo Dome.
Thank you.
Joining us from the Lisbon Bronco girls wrestling team, she is Nevaeh Buffett here, heading to that state tournament at the Fargo Dome. And Nevaeh, what does it mean for you this season to be heading to the Fargo Dome and competing at the state tournament?
Very exciting, but nervous. But I'm very proud that I have accomplished going to state for my first year and being able to participate in it.
Yeah, what have you learned this season from wrestling, kind of just in terms of just the growth of the sport, but also just you as a wrestler? How have you grown this season here, Nevaeh?
To always be positive, and even the outcome of it, to not let yourself down and just to keep fighting and go into your next match being positive and not focusing on the last match.
So as you get ready for state, what's one thing you've heard about the Fargo Dome and state wrestling, or what are you looking forward to most once you kind of get to that dome here on Thursday?
Looking forward to see all my opponents and seeing how everyone has improved on our team and just seeing everyone be there and cheering for us.
Are you more of a fan, Nevaeh, of the individual side of wrestling, or are you more of a fan of the dual side of wrestling? What do you enjoy most as a wrestler?
The individuals, for sure.
Okay, on the individual side, when there's a particular move that throws itself out there against an opposition, what's one of your favorite moves to kind of go to if it presents itself?
Probably a high crotch or a double leg.
And from there, is there a tournament that you most enjoyed competing at this year compared to others outside of the postseason tournaments here in February?
Oh, probably the region individuals. That one was my best tournament.
Okay. And if someone hasn't tried wrestling before here, Nevaeh, what's a reason that someone should go out for wrestling, whether it's on the girls' side or on the boys' side?
It boosts your confidence a lot, and you get to achieve things that you probably haven't in the past.
And final thing for you, what's a trait or characteristic that best describes the Lisbon girls wrestlers here this season?
Probably positive, funny, and they always work together as a team.
Nevaeh, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck at the Fargo Dome.
Thank you.
Melina Refsum joining us now here from the Lisbon Broncos girls wrestling team. Melina, what are you looking forward to most once you get to that Fargo Dome for the upcoming state tournament?
Just to go for moves and just go on the mat, just have fun and yeah.
What have you enjoyed most, Melina, this year with Lisbon wrestling and just kind of competing with your fellow teammates?
Just having fun and just trying stuff and just like seeing what I need to do better.
And from there, why should someone come out for wrestling if they've never tried it before or maybe been on the fence 50-50 thinking they should go for it? Why should someone become a wrestler, Melina?
Well, it's also fun, and also you kind of get like when you get in the mat, you can also let some anger out too. But yeah.
Is there a particular tournament, Melina, that you've enjoyed competing at more so than others throughout the year?
Probably the Rumble.
Okay. Rumble's been pretty much unanimous across the board. What makes the Rumble so much fun for you?
Well, it was just like a fun tournament and everything, and you get to meet other people from all the regions. Well, not all the regions, but most of them, and yeah.
Are you more of a fan of individual wrestling tournaments, or are you more of a fan of dual wrestling tournaments?
Probably individuals because they're just more challenging and fun.
Okay. On the individual side, when there's a move that presents itself, is there a particular move against your competition that you kind of look for? More so that's a favorite of yours than others?
I don't really have a favorite, but I just go for what's there.
Okay. And then favorite subject that you've studied up to this point?
I have no idea.
Okay. Last thing for you, Melina, are you superstitious at all? Do you have to do anything before you get to the mat, or is it let's just hear the whistle and get going?
Talk to my coaches to see what I have to do to see if I'm missing anything. And just talk to people and yeah, and just get ready. So.
Melina, congratulations on making it to state and best of luck coming up this week.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we continue here on our coaches, part of our coaches preview here with the Lisbon girls wrestling team. And Jake joined us now. And Jake, for the Lisbon girls program here, I've been talking to any particular girls coach, throughout the year, just the growth of girls wrestling here this season. We've seen certain tournaments over the last 2 or 3 years that maybe only had 20, 30 girls out there. Now it's up to 100 or, even more than that, multiple teams. How many just seen in general girls wrestling in North Dakota and in your program continue to grow here over the last couple of years?
It's just like you said, it's been pretty cool to watch and see throughout the last, this is our 3rd year now, and more programs are starting to get more and more girls, and these tournaments are we're starting to get to the point where we can completely separate, do our own thing, have girls standalone tournaments, and that's pretty cool to see that the numbers are getting to that point where we can do our own thing. We're not just kind of thrown in the corner and added on to now. It's girls wrestling, it's its own thing, so that's pretty cool to be a part of and be able to experience these last few years.
And able to see that both on the dual side, right? Having a dual team individually, you got 10 girls going to state. So what is this week going to be like from your perspective with girls wrestling, just to see it from a Lisbon Bronco point of view and have 10 girls that are going to go out on the mat and give it their best shot?
It's going to be just really like any other week for us, just another tournament. Really, we've been pretty battle tested. We wrestled a lot of tough tournaments, a lot of tournaments without a state competition. So really, as far as the state tournament is concerned, it's really just another tournament. We just got to go in and do what we've been doing, and things should work out pretty well for us.
From your point of view here, Jake, what makes a state wrestling tournament so much different compared to any other time of the year for the other tournaments that you compete at?
Really, the biggest thing is that it's kind of what we use to measure ourselves, right? We never say, oh, what place did you get at XYZ tournament? How did you do at state? So really, that's kind of the difference is that's the one that we remember the most. When again, at the end of the day, they're all the same thing. It's just a wrestling tournament. So we may put a little bit more significance or importance on this one from the outside, but again, from our perspective here, just another tournament. So just doing our thing, just the same thing we do every day is wrestling. So that's what we're gonna do.
A lot of girls mentioned the Rumble on the Red, that they like competing at that particular tournament. What makes the Rumble on the Red such a good tournament from your perspective here, Jake, from a coach's point of view?
For starters, the size, it's probably, I would imagine it's the biggest one that we've gone to, if not 1B or whatever, as far as size. It's ran very, very efficiently, very well. Some of the tournaments kind of drag on. State tournament kind of seems to take a little longer just because it's how they format it, right? You got to have your semifinals and that stuff. The nice thing about the Rumble, it's a nice big tournament, but they just run it straight through. So we get there and we get wrestling in, and we get done with wrestling when the time comes. So between that and seeing the out of state competition and the bunch match, we get to wrestle alongside the boys. There's a JV tournament there. There's girls. There's youth tournament too. So it's nice to just it's kind of cool to see a little bit of everything, all levels. And again, it's a pretty well ran tournament. So on top of all of that, it's nice to get in and out as kind of efficiently as we can.
As the girls kind of wrap up their wrestling here this year, what do you hope they take with them outside of the wrestling room, part of their day-to-day lives? What are some things you talked about in the program here, Jake, that you hope that, the wrestlers and those that are competing take with them outside of wrestling?
I hope the biggest thing that they take away is just sort of like wrestling, anything in life, is you get out what you're willing to put in. If you're willing to put in the work, you can really accomplish a lot of big and cool things. And that's, again, just as true in life as it is in wrestling. Sometimes it's a little easier to maybe see that in sports, but if we can transpire that from sports to life, that's going to help a lot, especially with wrestling. There's just so much more that's involved compared to other sports, all the self-discipline and accountability that if we can apply these principles in our sports, we can do that in real life and really accomplish a lot of big and cool things.
And for you, Jake, for this Lisbon girls wrestling program, what's something that comes to mind that best describes this year's version of the 2023-2024 girls wrestling program?
I would say family. Again, we got 17 girls on the team this year, and there are some that are actually family. For the most part, it's like one big family. I'm not sure, there are some arguments, but I don't know about you. I argue with my brother the most, so that's bound to happen in some family situation. But by and large, it's one big family. The girls all have each other's back, and it's just cool to see all the love and support that everyone on the team has for each other.
And final thing for you, Jake, Lisbon's been well known for wrestling, obviously, for many years on the boys' side. On the girls' side here, as we mentioned, 3 years coming. Do you feel like the girls' wrestling team has that opportunity as it gets a little bit older, so to speak, as a sanctioned sport in North Dakota, to continue to grow and kind of be one of the powerhouses, if you will, as we've seen in that part of the world? A lot of really good wrestling from around that Lisbon, where you stick an hour away, put a pin in there. There's been a lot of great wrestlers. You feel like that's going to continue on the girls' side as this sport continues to grow?
I think so, yeah. I think having the success with the boys kind of really was just a good kind of recruiting tool for us, right? We already have the wrestling community here within the school and the district, so there's already that interest within the sport, and I think we're just going to continue to grow and get better and better. We only this year, we don't have any seniors, one junior, and the rest are younger than that, so we should continue to get better with those that we have, and hopefully get a few more new ones out each and every year and continue to grow and get better and better.
Hey, Jake, thanks so much for your time and best of luck at state this week at the Fargo Dome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Rich Lucina joined us now, part of the coaching staff, head coach here with the Lisbon Broncos. Rich, I've talked with a lot of the fellow wrestlers here saying the environment in that Lisbon gym was about second to none, whether it came to wrestling or just, any other sport in general. Just take us through your mind sitting on the bench with your fellow, coaches, with your team, as it kind of just came on through in the entire day, and what was kind of going through your mind that last few seconds of that championship match.
If you said, it was the whole day. Starting off with Oaks, we knew Oaks was always well coached. They got a tough team, and we knew we'd have some good matches there. We told the boys, one step at a time. Let's make sure we take care of it. So we got through Oaks. There were some good battles, but they pulled that one off. And then with South Border, it's just it seems like afterwards, Coach Hoffman, he said to me, "How many times has this happened to us over the years?" And I don't know. We had a state dual finals that went down to criteria. We've had numerous times, it seems. This duel just always seems to come down to a couple of key matches that, you could just feel it building. They built up a 30-13 lead on us. And, some of the fans probably were starting to doubt it. I remember telling Coach Matt, hey, don't doubt the heart of champions. These boys are ready in the back. And Cruz Ranky went out there and got a pin, and you could see the crowd was on its feet and jumping. And we have a photographer here, our 215-pounder, Drew Anderson's mom, takes pictures, and online you could just see the picture she had. Everybody in the crowd was on there, going nuts. And then Grayson Lyons got a big win there at 121, kept the hopes alive. Cash Waiton does what Cash does. We talked earlier this year about that kid. He just got a motor, and we're sure he's just something special, and then it capped off Noah and left, and Tristan's a dang good wrestler. There ain't nothing easy about wrestling that kid. And it came down to not just the last match, but the last seconds of the last match there. He got that too with about 2 seconds left. And yeah, everybody, I think Blaze Ranky, there's a picture of him, and the basketball coaches are probably jealous. It looked like he was probably high enough to dunk it there if they'd had a ball in his hands. So dang exciting duel.
Rich, was that one of all the wrestling that you've been a part of with this particular program? Does that number one or 1A when it comes to the environment? Because again, you have Kindred who's waiting to see if they might have a chance to wrestle you, for that challenge to go to state. You obviously have a state berth on the line. It comes down to the very finals with that championship. Just take us through what the atmosphere kind of was like. It was that 1A, 1B, so to speak, for you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, you're hanging on by your shoelaces, hoping everything will, and I know Kindred was waiting, and that duel was close. I don't know but that came down to the last match too. It was just, you said it was just electric across the board. All the teams. I mean, they call it the Southeast region now instead of Region 1, but boy, oh boy, it's as tough as ever. Those teams, there ain't nothing easy in Region 1 right now, or the Southeast sub-region, whatever, whatever term you want to use for it. But yeah, you could feel it in the air. I mean, it was that big, and you could see those shots. The fans it's so fun to look at some of those pictures, like I said, that Liz took. You can just see the fans' reaction to every win, to every loss, to every takedown in a match. We got some pretty smart fans too, so I think they all understood, and they've done the math, and so it was a dang good experience.
For you, Rich, here a little bit when it comes to the dual side compared to the individual side, how are you changing from coaching steps? What are you guys talking about compared to the individual, where obviously you kind of have that particular wrestler at that weight class go out and see if they win or lose, right? Come through the wrestlebacks or keep moving on. But how does the duels change at all from a coaching standpoint? If you're up, if you're down, kind of as you've gone throughout the season here?
We talk to the kids about how every match, is going to matter, and every point in every match matters. So we look at it and we always tell them, look, if you can go out there and get teched instead of pinned, you scored us a point. It doesn't show up on the scoreboard, but you got one. And we talk about the team aspect of it from there on. And this week, with getting ready for the individual side, we talk about being selfish. This is for you. Go out there. You want something, you're going to have to take. You're not going to, if you ask, people ain't going to give it. You're going to have to take it. So individual week's all about you. Be selfish as you can be. Go out and get what you think you've earned. Take it. Don't ask. Dual week, it's all about what can you do for the team? Can we fight and keep our shoulder up? Can we keep that match close? Can we steal a win, at the last second? What can we do to help the team? And you can see, like I said, the kids buy into that. So.
For you, Rich, what best describes, a Trader characteristic, maybe not just of this year, but just in Lisbon, wrestling in general? What's one or two words or a sentence or two that comes to mind about, Lisbon Bronco wrestling, a Trader characteristic?
We talk to the kids about just being gritty. But you make everything tough. Somebody takes a shot on you, you make it tough. They might get the takedown, but you're going to make it tough. So just have that grit to stay in the fight. Never give up. You're in that thing till the end. It's, it might look like your chances are slim, but the great thing about wrestling, I think better than any other sport, is it's never over. As long as the clock's still ticking, you're not down by more than 15, you got a chance. A pin can win with 5 seconds left. You just never know. So we just really preach that. You got to be tough. You got to grind everything out, grind every inch, grind every point, and grind every moment.
Is there something in particular that you want these wrestlers, no matter if they're with you for 6 years, 1 year, or somewhere in between, what do you want them to take with them once their kind of wrestling days is done as a Bronco?
They can do more than they thought. In our practice room, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of sweat. There's a lot of probably times where they feel like it'd be easier just to go home after school instead of come up. And if we always say, if you stay, those that stay will be champions. That old Michigan we use that. And we're not talking about champions on the podium. It's that champion in life that sometimes things ain't going to be looking great. Sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes there's going to be, lack of a better way to phrase, sometimes you get punched in the nose. And I think wrestling teaches you that you get punched in the nose, the world don't stop. You got to pick yourself up and keep going. You might have to throw that nose plug up there, but you just got to keep going because nobody else is going to hold up for you.
As you take a look here, Rich, moving forward into that state duel particular tournament coming up in the quarterfinals and just state in general, what do you enjoy most from a coach's perspective about all the work that goes in on the off season once you kind of get to, practice, so to speak, in November, get to that Thanksgiving, that first, actual duel or quad that you might have, and then, a long season that gets culminated at the Dome? What do you enjoy most as a coach once you get to that week?
I meet kids. We meet kids when they're young, sometimes in elementary, sometimes 7th, 8th grade, and we get to see them become men, and that's a pretty damn good thing to be a part of. You get to see, these kids, especially now these seniors here. My son Carter graduated last year, so I remember when I was taller than Blaze Ranky. It ain't there. And, I remember Mikey being a little, just a little kid, green headgear on and just, cash weight. I mean, you get to see these kids grow into some pretty dang good people. And if that, to me, that's probably the best part of any jobs.
Final thing for you, Rich, before we let you go here. What is it in the water? I know we always kind of talk about it a little bit every now and then of Lisbon. There's, again, generations of really good wrestlers, generations of families who have been part of this particular, whether it's the Store Hog or just Lisbon wrestling in general. What is it about Lisbon wrestling that gets those kids that want to come out, when they're young and they get into it and it kind of just sticks in their blood? What's the secret sauce there, Rich, down there?
And they see what's possible and then they push each other. If I opened the door here and I showed you what's going on in that practice room, you'd see kids making each other better. They're not just about themselves. They're trying, hey, what can I do to help this guy? If they see something, they take time for each other. They care about each other. I think that's everything. They will, as bad, they would die for each other. They'll saw off their leg to make sure that they don't let the other guy down on the team. And I think that's a pretty big key to it.
Coach Lacina, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a really good season up to this point and best of luck moving forward.
Thanks, Chase. Have a great day here.